Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So we are now roughly 48 hours or so after the announcement that the case is basically done, and well, XRP is sitting at about roughly $2.39. Now, I have been also looking into some of the comments on the videos, and I saw one that stood out to me yesterday. And basically it was like, well, XRP didn't pump from the lawsuit announcement being done, so I guess I might as well just sell and move on. I want you all to understand that we just got past one of the biggest obstacles for XRP, and what could happen now is up to anyone's, best guess. Because now that that case is done, now that XRP is fully unleashed, think about what could potentially happen next. We could see major partnership announcements. We could see, big banks and institutions utilizing XRP, adopting XRP, tapping into the XRP ledger. So I want you guys to understand that it's not all about price action. It's not just about, all right, well, is this good for the price or not? Sometimes you have to think beyond, just price action and really understand, what's going on around this space and with this technology. So, I don't necessarily look at the SEC case being cleared as just like a major price driver. I think that it's a catalyst, obviously. It's always been a catalyst. But, beyond that, I'm actually looking at what happens after all of the dust is settled. But beyond that, talking about announcements, talking about partnerships, you guys probably already know. So Watcher Guru's account got hacked apparently yesterday. And this led to a few posts being sent out. And we have here that Watcher Guru X account hacked, false XRP Swift news spread. So basically what happened was they used the account to spread misinformation about a partnership between Swift and Ripple involving XRP for cross-border payments. They quickly deleted the unauthorized post and has since secured its account while investigating the breach with no clear details on how it happened. Now, I do have screenshots of it. Number one was actually from Bitrue. So Bitrue was one that also did post about it. They basically copied the same exact post we have over here, which was Justin, Swift nearing agreement with Ripple to use XRP for cross-border payments, with billions of XRP secured in escrow as liquidity reserves. Now, it got posted at 7:05 p.m. And, well, if we actually go back to yesterday, around 7:05 p.m., XRP was trading at about $2.42. We had a spike up to about $2.46. And then, of course, the sell-off after the announcement that, their account was hacked. It's funny because a lot of these fake headline articles or, big announcements, like if you guys do remember the BlackRock ETF announcement, right? That was also fake. That was months ago now. But the thing that I really want to talk about here is manipulation. We don't know if Watcher Guru's account actually got hacked. They're saying that it was hacked, but I wouldn't write off the idea of someone loading up heavy on XRP longs, then this getting posted, them taking profits, selling, and then saying, oh, hey, by the way, our account was hacked. That was fake. So, again, it's very interesting. Obviously, we don't know what is actually going on here. They did outline, that their account was hacked, that they sent messages to an ex-employee 2 weeks ago after they suspected an attempt was made to compromise our account. And this is basically the whole breakdown of that. So, could this have been just, a hack around the space? Definitely could have been. When we really think about what's going on within this space and outside of this space, major cybersecurity threats are happening every single day, right? Like we see major threats happening around the cybersecurity side of things. In crypto, I don't think that I need to tell you guys that hacks are not uncommon. Bybit recently just got hacked. Major exchanges are getting hacked all the time. Accounts are getting hacked. There's a lot of phishing attempts. So, this isn't something that I would say could have been fake or not, but this is something that probably did happen. But I just find it very interesting that it was XRP that was being spotlighted here by the hacker, which I find very comical. But nonetheless, when we think about this, all right, this has been an ongoing topic around the XRP community for years, right? Even if we go all the way back to 2023, Swift announced that they, announced a new collaboration with Wise, actually, TransferWise, to increase cross-border payment options for financial institutions and their customers. Even then, I said Wise probably isn't using Ripple and or XRP, but they are tapped in with Tranglo, which Ripple does own 40% of. I love the idea of domino effects within this space where one partnership could expose certain assets to hundreds of companies. Swift is working with Wise to increase cross-border payment options. I believe Ripple has forced a few hands in the past and continued to demand Swift to innovate. I don't look at Swift as a competitor to Ripple and or XRP, but more so I look at Swift as needing to adapt or die. Joel Katz, aka David Schwartz, Ripple CTO, said that Swift could benefit greatly by tapping into RippleNet and making banks pay them to use the service. Will this happen in the future? It's possible. Now, we don't really have any confirmation that Swift will use Ripple or XRP, but what we do have is a post from the 20th from Swift, the same day that these posts were made regarding XRP and Ripple being tapped in from Swift. But this was how we're enabling a seamless payments experience for corporates around the globe. Now, what I find very interesting about this post is not so much what they're announcing here. Obviously, they're talking about major initiatives for major banks. They actually have an initiative called Corporates Working Group, which does include 25 leading banks and 26 corporates from various sectors and regions. And it's actually supported by a network of 8 technology partners that play a vital role in identifying key challenges, shaping priorities, and piloting new capabilities. Now, the big thing here to focus on is ISO 20022. And there's a quote here that says, with ISO 20022, the goal is to provide corporates and banks with a single standard that improves cross-border payments. This will enable them to fully benefit from the rich data, increase speed, and interoperability it offers, enhancing reconciliation. Now, when we think about what's going on here, we know that ISO 20022 is a crucial piece of the big shift around payments. We know that ISO 20022 does have a lot to do with crypto, unlocking the opportunity to tap in to DLT, blockchain tokenization. ISO 20022 is basically just one puzzle piece in the whole picture of what's going on. Now, on top of this post, I also want to go over here to this post from January 8th of this year, because on top of ISO 20022, like I said, it's just one, puzzle piece. This is the next few puzzle pieces. The emergence of digital assets has the potential to create new, innovative, and effective ways of trading securities, but despite the promise, the tokenization landscape remains fragmented, limiting its scalability and broad adoption. Our latest paper sets out 5 key areas that need to be tackled to forge a robust digital asset ecosystem. And within this, it's actually just swift.com/digital assets. Okay. And this is how to scale globally through interoperability and standardization, unlocking the potential of digital asset securities, connecting digital islands. Now here we have live trials of digital asset transactions on Swift. Banks across North America, Europe, and Asia will embark on live trials of digital assets and currency transactions over the Swift network. And then also collaborative experiments explore more complex CBDC use cases. Now, what's crazy about this is if we look into this actual PDF file through Swift's website, this is actually from Swift, we have the contents. Number 1 was roles and responsibilities. Number 2 was token standards. Number 3 was the cache leg. Number 4 was cross-chain interoperability, and then reference data. Now, again, this is coming from Swift officially. Now, we do have the rise of digital asset securities encompassing both tokenized representations of traditional securities as well as digitally native issuances has the potential to transform global financial markets. By leveraging DLT, distributed ledger technology, and smart contracts, these innovations may create new ways to trade, settle, and manage assets. This is coming from Swift themselves. talking about tokenization in a huge way. And here are the key opportunity areas that I did outline previously. I mean, it's just kind of crazy that you have SWIFT, this global financial network giant, over 11,000 plus major banks tapped in, major institutions tapped in, credit, companies, you name it. And they're talking about DLT blockchain, making sure that this space is massively adopted. And, even under this, you can see how ISO 222 plays a role. I mean, it's just wild to me that people still are oblivious to what's going on here. Now, when we go back to the original viewpoint, right, like this announcement that SWIFT is nearing an agreement with Ripple, could this actually become a possibility? 100%. I mean, this is a huge document from SWIFT talking about DLT, talking about tokenization. And remember that there's an actual group by the BIS, the Central Bank of Central Banks, the CPMI group, Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructures, where you have SWIFT, right, working alongside Ripple and many other giants here, like major banks, MasterCard, for an example, as well. These are central banks, like the Bank of China, for an example. You also have the European Central Bank. I mean, this is a group that's working together on improving cross-border payments, and Ripple and SWIFT are two of those players here. But also remember this image that SWIFT uploaded on their X account. It's a quote from Rachel Levi, the global head of innovation engineering. As new forms of value transfer, such as tokenization and digital assets, come to the fore, a common standard in ISO 222 will be especially important to avoid fragmentation. So ISO 222 will lead to the adoption of tokenization and digital assets within the global financial system. This is exactly how we get to that digital financial system. But also remember that there was a huge, it's basically just an interview, if you will. It's like a podcast. And this was actually with the global head of payments. And we also have a few players here. So number one was the CCO of Convera, who was the host of this. You had the global head of payments and PMI for SWIFT. You had the head of digital assets at Citi, and then the head of payment products at Ripple. Why was Ripple in this podcast, right? It's a podcast titled New Rails to New Worlds, Building Inclusive Innovative Infrastructures for Global Payments. And you have Ripple here alongside Citi and SWIFT. Like, this is insane to me. And it's not even just about this, right? Like, if we do go back in time, Joel Katz, David Schwartz, Ripple CTO, he said that we are very pleased to see payments getting faster with SWIFT, for an example, right? With SWIFT GPI. Our strategy has been to position XRP as a settlement asset. The faster payments are, the more important it is that settlement be fast and cheap. The main reason we built RippleNet and xCurrent was because payments were too slow for fast, cheap settlement to matter all that much. If SWIFT wants to fix payments for us, that's great. It's one less thing we have to do. But also, he did say that his dream scenario is SWIFT makes a deal with Ripple where all their banks get to use RippleNet for free, maybe even paying SWIFT. Fits our XRP strategy perfectly. Now, he said that back in 2017. Now, you might say, all right, well, Nick, that was back in 2017. Yeah, a lot has happened since then. And right now, if we think about Ripple, they're already working with SWIFT on the CPMI group, okay? And SWIFT is really addressing what's happening around digital assets. They're talking about the emergence of digital assets. They're talking about tokenization. They're addressing ISO 222 and how this all matters. But also remember that SWIFT does not manage at all the settlement side of things. They don't even touch clearing. All SWIFT is basically just a messaging network. That's why ISO 222 is so crucial for SWIFT, because they are the messaging giant. They're tapped in with additional players to actually achieve settlement and clearing. So Ripple is a perfect fit for this. if Swift was going to actually innovate. So that's why, even though this is a fake announcement, right? Even though that Watcher Guru did get hacked, I want you guys to understand that this could very well be something that does happen. Now that the lawsuit is done, what's really stopping Swift from agreeing to utilize, RippleNet, or in this case, Ripple payments? There's already so many connections back to Swift. A lot of the players that have plug and play technology with Ripple enabled, like Volante, for an example, or Finastra or Accenture, they have partnerships with Swift. It makes a lot of sense. But there isn't anything confirmed at this point. There's a lot of documents out there. There's a lot of, talks about, Ripple being tapped in or potentially being tapped in. But until we do actually see that announcement, it is just speculation. But with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.